Well, just over 9 million people have been vaccinated against COVID-19 in South Africa. With a population of about 58 million people, most South Africans are still not vaccinated. And this means there's a greater chance of the virus mutating in the country. So is this becoming our reality? The Delta variant continues to dominate South Africa's coronavirus infections, but a newly identified lineage is already said to be circulating in most of our provinces. Well, for more on the C12 lineage, we're now joined by Professor Barry Schoub. He's the chair of the Ministerial Advisory Committee on Vaccines. Prof, firstly, do we pronounce it C.12? Is that the correct way to say it?
Yeah, that's correct. Good morning, Annika. Yeah, C.1.2.
Explain what the difference is between a lineage and a variant, please.
Yeah. Now, these are just terminologies which are used. They're really kind of, in a way, scientific, virological, or laboratory terminologies. You know, this virus is a virus which changes readily. Its building blocks, they're either deleted, in other words, to get rid of some of the building blocks, or they substitute some of the building blocks. And when they do that, they actually change their personality, their characteristics. So when they change, when they mutate, they give rise to what we call lineages. Those are, when they reproduce, those generations are called lineages. When they establish themselves because of what happens as a result of these changes, they are then called variants. So we have at the moment 8 variants, so 4 variants of concern. That's the alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. And at the moment there are 4 generally recognized 4 variants of interests. And these also are given Greek letters. So those are the more established lineages which circulate in the general population. And C.1.2 at the moment is just a lineage. It's a potential variant. It's still being investigated.
What do we know about it? I mean, alpha and beta were pretty mean. Delta was nasty. Have we got any information on C.1.2?
No, Annika, at the moment it is still really a lineage even. It's a potential variant of interest. It is being investigated very intensively. You know, this, the C.1 or C1, if you want to make it shorter, the C.1 was actually a fairly one of the earlier lineages. It was actually circulating in our first wave in South Africa as well. The C.1.2 was first detected in May. It may have been circulated some before, but first detected in May in South Africa. And as you mentioned, most of our provinces, 6 out of the 9 provinces, it has been found. A number of other countries as well, in Europe and Asia, and also in other African countries, the DRC, for example. So it's fairly widespread. It's not confined to South Africa, but first detected in South Africa. But as you asked, do we know much about it? At this stage, it is still being investigated. Is it going to be more severe? Is it going to escape our vaccine? Is it going to be more contagious? These are still unknown. They're being investigated at the moment. It's probably about 0.2 or up to about 2% of our isolations at the moment. So it's still fairly minor, but it is evolving quite rapidly.
Prof, will the vaccines that we have available here be effective against this lineage?
Annika, we hope so. At this stage, that hasn't yet been established. So this is still work in progress.
Has it presented anywhere else? Well, you said it has been in other countries, but has it presented, if we want to call it a personality, in any of the other countries that we can learn from?
Not at this stage. You know, this is fairly new. You know, there's an ongoing surveillance of all these isolates, all these viruses, what we call genomic surveillance. In other words, they look at the actual genome constitution, and this is part of that. So at this stage, it has been detected. We know since May, but there are too few cases at this stage to really establish, is it the questions that you ask. Is it escaping immunity? Is it going to be more severe? Is it more contagious? At this stage, we don't know. So far, it's a minor component, a relatively minor component of the whole spectrum. We're certainly dominated by our Delta variant. That is the variant which is really the main one. C.1.2 at the moment is really a scientific interest more than a public health at the moment, more than a public health interest.
If it does decide to jump into our lives and become a big problem, we're relying on you, Prof, to keep us updated, please. That's Professor Barry Schoub. He's the chair of the Ministerial Advisory Committee on Vaccines. Well,